I am a gynecologist. Ask me anything. Have you ever unintentionally given a woman an orgasm? Nope. How about intentionally? Ha! Still no. But I am uniquely qualified. Probably a lot more coin there. But there's those pesky ethics codes. What percentage of women would you say come in unshaved? Does it make you uncomfortable? The answer to your question varies by socioeconomics, age, geography, and season. I don't always notice. I'm tired sometimes, you know? Unless the hair actually gets in my way. I'm female, so it doesn't bother me unless, again, the hair gets in my way. And then I think, really? So, which socioeconomic, age, geography, season combination shave? Stripper, 16 to 22, urban, summer. What's the grossest thing you've seen? Are you male or female? I'm going to say all patients plus 400 pounds come to mind, but you know, there's also some almost indescribable crap that you see in gynecology. Cancer can actually be pretty disgusting. More exotic grossness would be a couple of dermoid tumors filled with jelly and hair, and a sort of mummified triplet that died in utero at about 15 weeks, that then delivered after its full-term siblings. Best experience, worst experience. Best experience, saving a 17-year-old's life sans hysterectomy after she showed up bleeding in my EC after a botched abortion. Worst experiences, delivering women with a full-term stillbirth. So how do you handle it when you have to deal with a stillbirth? Do you just quickly express condolences and then go make yourself scarce to do paperwork? Or is it like a long time that you have to spend with her? You spend a long time with these people because they need you a hell of a lot more than the patients that go home with a live baby and forget all about the doctor approximately 15 seconds after I hand the kiddo over. Are you married? If so, how does your partner feel about your job? I am married to a wonderful man who is not a doctor. He's just generally happy that I bring home a little more cash than the average trophy wife. That's awesome. Do you think you would be jealous or have any kind of feeling towards him if you and your husband switched jobs? No, because number one, my husband is even more of a morally and ethically upstanding person than I, and number two, the male OBs I know really desexualize the entire job after a while, I think. I've always wondered, how do you end up deciding to go into this line of work? You start college as a lib arts major, then you get bored and switch to biochem, but you tell yourself that you're going to be a pharmacologist or something. You won't go to med school or anything crazy like that. Then you get bored and decide to go to med school, but you decide you'll be a pediatrician or maybe a dermatologist, and you promise your boyfriend husband you won't go into something insane like surgery or OBGYN. Oh hell no. Then you do your OBGYN rotation and you kinda like it because you're a bit of an adrenaline junkie. And then all of a sudden, you're running around a hospital at 2 a.m. covered in bloody amniotic fluid, thinking, well, crap. I heard that when a group of females live together long enough, their menstrual cycles will eventually synchronize. Is it true? And if so, why and how? And isn't it crazy cool and weird? Supposedly that's true. I haven't done any original research on it. It is crazy. Given that many women have their period a little less than 1/4 of the time, though, it isn't surprising that women that share a household might overlap. It'd be more strange if they didn't overlap at least sometimes. Is blue waffle a real disease? Nope. Wow, this may be the first IAmA thread that I'm 100% convinced is in no way a troll. I wanted to ask you this though. The clitoris, as an analogous embryonic structure to the male penis, when dissected out based on tissue type, seems to run very deep and wide back and laterally. Personally, I feel like this gives the idea of the G-spot some validity, but my experience with this is N equals 1, wife. It seems to be in the anterior vaginal canal that's most proximal to the clit. What are your thoughts on this anatomy-wise? Getting sleepy and had to read through that a few times. The G-spot is probably an extension of the clitoris. I kind of agree with that. I actually only thought I'd do this post after one of my cousins posted a link to Ken Jennings' IAmA. I thought, maybe one day when I have a little time. The questions asked are probably more interesting to me than my answers are to other people. I may have to go to work soon though. I just moved to Florida after living in Arizona my entire life. The beach is a brand new thing to me. Sand in my vagina. Can it happen? What the fuck do I do? Seriously? Sure it can happen. The honest-to-God answer is rinse with plain water if you want to, but it will make its way out over time anyway. Any common knowledge misconceptions about the female anatomy that you'd like to clear up? The only one that comes to mind is the G-spot. Misconception is that it's some sort of actual anatomic structure. I'm sure there are misconceptions that I am totally unaware of though. Sort of the reason for posting this. So what's your misconception? So if it's not a structure, what's that structure that's right where the G-spot is? Kind of spongy feeling thing that isn't like the surrounding vaginal wall. Maybe the urethra through the vaginal wall? A urethral diverticulum? Hard to say without examining someone. Why did you choose to be a gynecologist? Also, did you have to dissect old vaginas in med school? Read that somewhere here. You do have to dissect pelvic repro structures in gross anatomy. However, the vagina is actually a space, so when it's old and dead, it's hard to dissect. It's very different than a live vagina. I'm laughing now at that last sentence. Thing about dead vagina is the consistency. It has the same dick feel no matter what, as long as it's properly preserved. You've had some wonderful living partners, I see. Might I suggest more foreplay? Or at least a little KY? For most of us, vaginas are like Bigfoot. You know a few guys that have seen it, and you'd like to someday, but it may just be a legend. I'm 30. I've been to the family doctor twice in my entire adulthood. Never really been sick. I've never been to a gynecologist. Should I see one of you guys for something now? I have no issues with anything. You should see a doctor for a pap smear. Cervical dysplasia, leading to cervical cancer, is usually a totally silent disease. My youngest cervical cancer patient was 27, but you can have pre-cancer much younger. My girlfriend went 4 months without a period, was not pregnant, just didn't have her period. In the past 3 months, she's had 7 periods. She never had any problems like this before. She also is strongly resistant to going to a doctor. Is there something serious to worry about? Sounds like it could be HPO axis immaturity, if your girlfriend is an adolescent, or more likely PCOS. She should go to a doctor to discuss possibly regulating the cycle with hormones, because left untreated for a long period of time, anovulatory women can develop endometrial hyperplasia, or rarely cancer. If your girlfriend is over 35 to 40, this should absolutely be checked out by a pro. How often do you see patients come in due to complications of abortions they attempted to perform themselves? What is the usual prognosis in those cases? You mentioned you are pro-life, anti-choice. Do these cases ever make you question your position? Do any of your colleagues plan on getting the necessary training to perform legal abortion? I am for all intents and purposes pro-choice. Anti-choice is inflammatory language to a gynecologist. However, I choose not to perform elective abortions, and I choose not to have an abortion myself. If that makes me pro-life, okay. This is a great AMA. I'm a moderator at r/sex. I noticed your responses stating the G-spot isn't an anatomical structure, which I find really perplexing based on my own examinations of vaginas. I was wondering if you had any additional thoughts on G-spot orgasm, the anterior fornix, and especially female ejaculation. Maybe I just need to clarify that all I meant was there's no G-spot in netter. I just hate to think of women who have, say, a cystocele repair thinking they can never have an orgasm again because their G-spot got removed. There are nerves that run in the area, beneath the vaginal mucosa muscularis, that are very sensitive and can affect orgasm, no doubt. Female ejaculation isn't widely studied, not much research funding. I can't say I know a ton about it because it's not something women approach me about, but clearly, a lot of people have it on their mind. In general, what do you think of Yaz? Do you recommend it? It's fine. Most pills are going to do a lot of the same. I usually just prescribe Ocella and have the patient take the active pill 24 days instead of 21. She might have to buy an extra pack out of pocket here and there depending on the insurance coverage, but it'll be cheaper overall. Do you provide abortions? Is abortion care a standard part of the curriculum for OBGYNs in med school, or is it optional? Do you try and make conversations with your patients while performing an exam? I can never decide if it's more awkward or less awkward if my doctor is trying to talk to me about the weather when they are giving me an exam. I actually ask some of my more nervous patients if they prefer that I talk them through the exam or not. Most people are sort of cavalier about it. I have had a ton of patients that just text away on their PDA while I'm down there, and I kind of feel like if I start talking about the weather that I'd just be distracting them from tweeting or whatever. Hashtag pap smears happen. How much student debt do you have? How much money do you make? Ha ha ha, you need the IAmA MBA married to a gynecologist. I pay all the bills, AMA thread, for the answer to that one. Both figures fluctuate because I am paying the former down and the latter depends in part on productivity. Do you have to go to another gynecologist to get a pap smear done? Or can you do all those things on yourself? This is a totally serious question. I know dentists go to other dentists for fillings, so okay, I have to go to another gynecologist for that. She also helped me out with my cesarean section when I had my son. I know you are yourself a female, but the question I think many would like to know is, are there any patients that get more excited than usual when you go to work? You know, I can honestly say that I've never noticed. I've had several lesbian patients, and you know, it's just so clinical and usually there's some stress associated with the visit, so no. How often do people tell vagina jokes after hearing about your profession, percentage-wise? Jokes? Less than 1%. But when I get together with other health professionals, vagina anecdotes are quite common. I'm going into this with no shame. As a woman who often has irregular periods, both in timing and in quantity of flow, no downvotes people, grow up. Is irregularity actually regular, normal? Normal are cycles between 21 and 35 days, from day 1 of one period to day 1 of the next, with 3 to 7 days of flow. It doesn't have to be the exact same thing every month. If you are outside of the above parameters most of the time though, you should see a doc to make sure everything is okay. Answer whenever you get the time, even if it's a month later. I need to know, when I was in labor with my daughter, my OB estimated 8 hours or so before I delivered. She, in the meantime, went to another hospital to do a delivery, approximately 10 miles away. Once I got to about 6 to 7 centimeters, 5 hours in, I began to dilate fast. Within minutes I was at 8, then 9, etc. The nurses got a hold of my OB to notify her. She took about 30 minutes to get there. In the meantime, they had the ER doctor come in. The nurses were so adamant about not letting me push. I shit you not, this baby was close to crowning. They made my husband hold my legs together. I did not have an epidural. The OB finally came in, nonchalantly sits down, and tells me to be quiet because I am screaming and in tears. I swear I'd kept most of my cool until the last hour, and then delivers my baby. What was that all about? I cannot help but think that she didn't want the ER doctor to deliver because then she would not have been paid for that delivery. Are my suspicions correct? TLDR, the OB nurses made me hold my baby in until OB arrived, even though ER doctor was ready and willing to do the job. That sounds suspect. I only deliver at one facility for this reason, and we have an in-house backup OB doctor there. If a patient goes really fast and wants to push before I can make it there, I tell the nurses to let her, but I'm kind of laid back. Also, at our facility, the patient's doctors can still bill for the delivery even if the in-house doctor does it. It's just sort of a courtesy we as OB docs extend to one another. It's hard to say what happened in your situation. I'd imagine it varies greatly depending on the institution. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. It's free.